Visit ShaviZanesGuidance.com if you want to purchase any of the products that I have created. I have 6 different decks for you to choose from: Ancestors Money, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and Madam C.J. Walker. I also have the Spiritual Cleanse, where you can cleanse your energy every time you take a shower. It consists of frankincense, myrrh, Palo Santos, and sage. You can also order my miniature altars. You can get my book full of channeled messages, and order your Straight Outta Religion hats and t-shirts. You can also get a 15-minute, 30-minute, or 1-hour session over the phone with me where you can ask as many questions as you'd like. So definitely check out the description box as well as the comment section to book your services and to purchase your products. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. If you find this resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know how it resonates with your circumstance. So, chosen, I just want to talk to y'all for a minute. You know, this journey is a very, very interesting one, right? It's very interesting. It's beautiful. It's chaotic. It's balanced, it's unbalanced, it's up, it's down, and everything in between. And one thing about the chosen seed is that we are here to fulfill a mission, and regardless of the opposition, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of the changes, it doesn't matter. We're going to fulfill our assignment. That's why we was chosen for it. Hence, being referenced as a chosen seed. We get buried, we're going to grow, regardless of the climate, regardless of the circumstances. So yes, we're committed to a journey, and it's not an easy one, okay? This is why everybody can't just be running around talking about, yeah, I'm chosen this, I'm chosen that, but fumbling the ball when it comes to their purpose. This journey is about aligning yourself with the highest vibration, okay? We are in a process of shaping, shifting, and awakening, not just ourselves, but our lineage, breaking off those generational curses, changing the narrative now, okay? People are waking up and realizing that this whole thing was some BS. From start to finish, when the powers that were sat their funky asses on the throne that they never belonged on, they completely just turned everything upside down. Everything has been fed to us ass backwards, and there was a reason for that. Because they knew that the unraveling, the reconstruction, in order to get yourself out of a particular mindset, it was going to take a lot of layers, a lot of evaluating, a lot of sifting through, a lot of like just dying to false narratives. And it would not be an easy process, because much of the things that we've been conditioned to believe, a lot of us have become emotionally invested in this particular narrative. Emotionally, spiritually, mentally invested in particular illusions and false narratives. So when it's that deeply ingrained within an individual, it is damn near impossible to undo. And I said damn near because nothing is impossible, but consider there's going to be a lot of people. There are many people who will never awaken from the matrix. And so because you as the chosen seed, you have awareness of what's going on out here in these spiritual and physical streets, having to live amongst those who choose to remain zombies becomes very, very difficult. What's even sadder, or I guess what's more disappointing though, because I can deal with a zombie, right? A zombie is a zombie. I know you a zombie. Your ass is asleep. I'm just going to avoid you and let you keep on walking through with the flock of sheeple. Stay in your lane. Stay in yours. I'm going to stay in mine. Okay, we can deal with that. They're annoying as hell, but we can deal with that. What's even worse, though, are the beings who think they're awakened and are still very much so asleep. Those are the ones that makes your ass itch. Those are the ones that makes you want to tell them some things that's going to really hurt their feelings. The ones who think they're awakened but are still very much so asleep. The problem with these beings is that they don't honor you. You don't expect the zombies to honor you. You don't expect the sheeple and the sleeple to identify you as that god and goddess that you are, as that king or that queen that you are, as that high priest or that high priestess that you are. You don't expect that from them. Okay, matter of fact, you don't even want it from their asses. All right? They have their master. They have their shepherd. Okay, and they have been trained and conditioned to follow it, and so they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. But it's the ones who believe that they are awakened. And you can't tell them shit. You can't tell them nothing. You can't teach them nothing. You can't guide them with nothing. And the problem with these types of beings is that they're full of lip service. Full of lip service. That's all they do. They run their mouths. They talk. But there is no real application to what's being spoken, because likely what's being spoken is not applicable to the pathway anyway. So how can you apply something that's not applicable? Okay? They don't understand the mission. They've been completely misguided, misdirected, misinformed. And they believe that they have all of the answers. They possess all of the wisdom. And oh, you chosen, you're just a mere, little sweet, loving, light being. What do you know? Right? Those are the ones that need to be addressed immediately. And those are the ones that I'm talking to right now in this message, even though I'm talking to y'all chosen. But y'all know where I'm coming from, because growth is essential. It is a necessary component of the evolutionary process. And the problem with a lot of these know-it-all, supposedly awakened beings, that must be my Amazon package. The problem with these know-it-all, supposedly awakened beings is that, hold on, y'all, is that there is no room for expansion for these types of individuals. They are seriously fixed in a particular narrative that does not offer growth. They're not able to evolve out of it. And they don't even realize that they have literally trapped themselves in a religion. But because it's not under the same structure or umbrella of the usual religious or the traditional religious systems, they believe, oh, but I am awakened. No, sir. No, ma'am. You are very much so indoctrinated to believe a particular narrative. And so therefore you carry yourself with that energy. And that energy that they usually project is largely nothing less than an inflated, ugly ego. And because that's the energy that they present themselves with, it lets you know through the gate, out the door, that they have not healed. They are still operating in unbalanced lower chakra energy, and that there has not been enough work done in order for them to consider themselves to be awakened. But you can't tell them shit. You can't tell them, hey, childhood wounds needs to be addressed. Traumas needs to be addressed. Okay? Insecurities, fears, unhealthy pride and ego needs to be addressed. You can't tell them nothing because they have now been convinced. They've had too many people in their ears in the background, right? Because one thing about these beings is that they know how to draw a crowd, right? Because they're so great with the gift of gab. They have so much knowledge, but very little wisdom. But the knowledge is so captivating that the unaided ear, the unaided eye, the halfway awakened being would easily mistake that for wisdom, when in fact it's nothing but a pile of freaking words that has not served them and that most certainly won't serve you. You can recognize and identify these beings when they lack empathy, when they lack compassion, and when they're unable to control that ego that wants to rear its ugly head at the most inconvenient moments, even for them. These beings are the worst kind, and they need to be addressed immediately. Because what we don't want to happen is for, let's just say, some of the sheeple say, you know what, I'm tired of following the shepherd. I'm tired of being led into ditches and being told that I have to move at this hour. I got to wake up at this hour. I got to walk here. I got to, okay? Tired of being used, misused, and abused. So the sheep will look over into the direction of the chosen seed. But now you have, this is where we talk about separating the wheat from the tare. The wheat and the tare don't have nothing to do with the sheeple. It's very clear that they ain't no damn wheat and they ain't no damn tare. They don't look like neither one of them. They stand out. It's very clear that they're a zombie. There's no confusion there. The separation of the wheat from the tare consists of the chosen awakened beings and the ones that think they woke. So you got the sheeple over here that's looking in this direction because you got a whole crew, a whole community of the chosen awakened beings and the ones that think they woke. The sheeple are looking and they're like, I can't tell the difference. So they're likely, because the sheeple are already operating in low vibrational energy, who do you think they're naturally going to gravitate towards? The chosen awakened being whose chakras are aligned, whose auric field is bright, whose energy is high vibrational, or are they going to naturally gravitate towards the one who thinks they are awakened, but largely moving in nothing but pride and ego? They're going to gravitate to the one that's more closely aligned with their current vibration. That's who the sheeple are going to gravitate towards. So they're likely going to gravitate towards the ones that are partially awakened that think they know every damn thing. This is where things get a little murky, because the way that they get introduced to this particular pathway is led by ego. It's led by doctrines that have nothing to do with growth and expansion. They have nothing to do with healing. That part is essential. You cannot skip these necessary steps in order to become that divine being. But these ego-driven, partially awakened beings think they got a shortcut to shit. They think that because they can reference you to this point in history and because they've read this book and because they sat up underneath this person, oh, that makes it official. I am officially initiated. I am officially the master teacher. When in fact, the greatest component of their journey, they completely skipped over that shit and went straight to the word salad. And now they're just a walking freaking salad full of words and nothing that's actually going to nurture or nourish the soul of a sheeple, a being that needs to be healed. So when you come along, chosen, and you find yourself sitting amongst these partially awakened beings that think they know every damn thing, they tend to minimize your wisdom. They tend to minimize your position. They tend to minimize your spiritual ranking. And it's largely because the way that you communicate is simple. It's easily explained. It's easily understood. We're going to get to the core of what needs to be healed. We're going to get to the core of what you need to address, what needs to be acknowledged. Let's start from the root of this thing and work our way up. But see, these beings are so ego-based that they say, now, I don't know that you really, step aside, chosen, right? Step aside. I have a more expansive vocabulary. I am far more, studied. I'm well studied. I've sat amongst the best. But yet and still, chosen, your energy is clearly on a whole nother level. The things that you have been able to obtain, not just in the 3D realm, but on a 5D and higher realms, it's on a whole nother level. It's obvious and it's apparent. Very, very clear. But yet and still, that being will still look at you. And because their ego is so driven, every aspect of them is so driven by this unhealthy pride and ego, they'll completely ignore all of the fruits that come with the seeds that you have planted and just say, they ain't talking about nothing. Not realizing that they've only come into your energy. The Most High has guided them towards you to align with you because there's something that you have to offer them. There's something that they can benefit from when it comes to you, especially when it comes to their healing process. But they refuse to see it. So you know what ends up happening? They mess around and find out. They mess around and find out, damn, I thought that chosen seed was all love and gumdrops. I thought they was rainbows and unicorns. Oh, there's a polarity to every energy. But the beautiful thing about the polarity of the chosen seed is that we know how to handle these beings because we recognize that they are still unlearned, that they are still sipping on the milk. And so we handle them like babes. But they get handled in a way where they go through a very necessary ego death that reminds them, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't assume that because you've read enough books that now you know how to look in a direction of a chosen seed and determine that they're easy pushover, that they're easily manipulated, or that they're meant to be your student at your footstool. Yes, we are constantly learning. Any chosen seed that is awakened recognizes that we go through the process of being the student and the teacher for the rest of our lives, for the rest of our existence, which is never ending. It goes on for infinity. So we are ever learning beings, the student and the teacher. We are always interchanging with these roles. So we do recognize that some of these partially awakened beings, they may come in with some things and it's like, damn, okay, I never studied that. I never heard about that. Okay, cool. But even still, quite often you'll find that having conversations with these partially awakened egotistical beings is never anything that's fully nourishing to the soul. It usually sits on the surface. It can nourish the ego and it can make you feel like, okay, yeah, I learned something new today, right? I can maybe tell someone else about this point in history or this particular, book that said this. It's not reaching deeply enough, though. This is the time of the separation, the true separation of the wheat from the tare. And unless these partially awakened beings humble down and recognize that, yes, the chosen seed, there's some things that they can learn, right? Unless they come into that realization, they're literally going to be tossed out with the sheeple. And they don't like each other, okay? These partially awakened egotistical beings, they don't like the sheeple. But one thing they do like about the sheeple, though, okay, they don't like them for the most part, but they do like that they are easily misguided. They're easily manipulated. They are perfect followers. One thing that these partially awakened egotistical beings don't like about the chosen is that you are certainly not easily manipulated. You see through it all. You feel it all. You can see through these beings' souls. You can read them, their rights. You can tell them what happened in childhood all the way through to adulthood and why the hell they act the way that they do. But you're so humble with it. And you try to extend grace because you know that grace was extended to you at some point in time. So you try to just say, you know what? I'm going to just put some good energy out there for that person. I'm going to be patient. I recognize, I see it. I see the unhealthy ego. I see the pride. I see the imbalance of that solar plexus, sacral and root chakra. Oh my goodness, do I see it? I see the lack of connection that they have to the source, the generator that's actually going to keep them going. I see where they're about to burn themselves out, where they're about to crash out in a minute because they have no divine source to reference in order to get themselves back in alignment. You can see it from a mile away. But yet you're like, you know what? I'm going to just remain quiet because the fact of the matter is these beings, they don't hear shit. The only thing that they hear is their own mouths because that's all they do is bump them damn gums. Bump their gums. And they want you to be silent. Sit down, student, and listen to what I am teaching you. This is the time of the shift, chosen. You're going to see a lot more of these partially awakened egotistical beings out here. And we definitely have to step into our calling, be more vocal about our positions. We don't have to convince nobody of a damn thing, but we do have to step into the spotlight because, again, we're here to bring balance, to restore balance to the universe. And so if we're hiding off in the shadows, and the only thing that the sheep will see are these partially awakened egotistical beings, then they're going to be easily misled and misguided, and there will be no real growth. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be an artificial growth. It's not organic. And so just keep that in mind, y'all. If you've come across any of these types of individuals, put a 7 in the chat. 777. Put a 777 in the chat. If you come across any of these types of individuals, it's very distasteful. And it just reminds you as a chosen seed of just how favored you are. You see what I'm saying? It reminds you that having empathy and compassion and having a kind, good heart, it strongly dictates the energy that you project. And it's a true sign. It's a true marker that lets people know, like, that's a real one right there. But unfortunately for the sheeple, they can't. Their eyes are completely blinded. So they can't tell the difference. Wheat, tear, it's all the same, right? They can't tell the difference. So I had to get that off my chest. That's my message for you all. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all next time.